Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another video where I talk about levels and see whether or not I like them. And today's video topic is about the best and worst level of each official song. Basically, what we're going to do for today is I'm going to go through every song that's used for the official levels and see which level is the best using that specific official level song. I hope you understand what I said there, because I sure didn't. Some qualifications for this video are I need the level to be rated. This is mainly just to make things easier for myself, and also the level has to use the majority or the entirety of the song. This is due to me finding out that there are a bunch of platformer levels that use this song but obviously doesn't use it all the way through. I also won't count remixes or the full versions of the song because once again it's easier for me to do it. Once again, these are my opinions, and if you don't agree with them, then more power to you. And since I'm talking about something negative, might as well say don't send hate to the creators or levels that I deem the worst. This is all just for fun and games, so don't send unnecessary hate. But anyways, with that out of the way, let's start the video starting with... For Stereo Madness, my pick for the best level using the song is actually Stereo Extremeness. Now you might say that this level is basically just a super buff Stereo Madness. Surely it can't be that special, but that's the thing, it actually exceeded my expectations. And instead of being just an extreme version of Stereo Madness, I actually think the way they approach the decoration is really eye-catching. And I also love that it highly resembles Stereo Madness while also looking completely different. My pick for the worst is the Hellfield. While you could argue that Conical Depression or Well Then is worse, but like those levels are like joke levels, and I think the joke is kinda funny. You can also argue about Square Adventure, but like come on. That level's old, give it a break. The Hellfield just kinda looks ugly for me. It really didn't age well with how the glow was used. Instead of looking more detailed and shaded, it looks more dirty than anything. I will say this, it's one of the better levels in the Hell series, with one part actually looking pretty neat, but that's not really saying much in my opinion considering the other levels in the Hell series. My pick for the best level using Back on Track is kind of a tough choice between Crystal 48 and Check Steam, but I think I'd give the edge to Check Steam. While Crystal 48 looks cool, I am a sucker for this style of level. How do I say this? The style feels like it's trying to be a detailed artsy style, but it's not too detailed for it to be detached from GD, but it's also not too simplistic where it looks cartoony, and I just love how it looked so charming. And also for some reason, randomly using block design that has grass on it is just peak level design for me. It looks really cool. Ooh, what am I gonna choose for the worst Back on Track level? It's Dynamic on Track. Here's the thing, my reason for not liking it is not because it's a map pack level or the fact that it has bad gameplay. I actually think the gameplay of it is just kind of okay. I don't like Dynamic on Track due to it being ruined by the creator. Here's the thing, Dynamic on Track in itself is a fine level for me. It has pretty interesting block design for the time, and once again, the gameplay is just okay. But then the creator updated it so it has a worse background, and it's also for some reason a satirical rant about straight fly and buff this, and I think random arrows in generic levels? Why? I'm not saying you can't rant in a level, but like, why here? The message would have been more effective if you made a separate level about it. What's worse is that I do somewhat agree on what it's ranting about, but it's done so ineffectively that it's kind of insulting. For the best for Polargeist, it's Windstorm for me. It's the same reason on why I chose Check Steam, but 10 times done more effectively. In fact, the fact that it uses Polargeist as the song also enhances the feeling of the level. It just feels so dreamy and cheery. I also love the fact that you can see cubes throughout the level holding onto balloons. That's just adorable. For my worst pick, it's a bit of a cheap one, but like, come on. Ice Cream by Cyclic is still a mystery on why it's rated. I will give it this, it's so unbelievably bad that it's kind of funny and I kind of love it for it. But still, even for its time, I don't see this as rate-worthy at the slightest. Like, there's zero structuring, there's literally pads in the air, like, come on. I get it's sort of part of GD history, but still. I will say this sort of gameplay could probably work for a modern memory level, but for what it is now, it's not my favorite. Dry Out's catalog is kinda meh in my opinion. Like, the most notable levels here are Minus Dry and the Hell World, which are not really interesting levels. So my pick for the best level to use Dry Out is a bit controversial, but I gotta give it to Sketched Out. Yes, it's just Dry Out but sketch style, But what makes it stand out for me is the fact that there's obviously a lot more effort put into than the usual sketch style, and it also feels like something that's actually sketched onto a piece of paper. For the worst pick, it's a level called 2.0. It's just a generic level, not much to say here. It looks really boring. Let's just move on to the next song. For bass after bass, I really wanted to pick bass after bass for the best one, but unfortunately that level's not rated yet, and also it doesn't meet my qualifications. But thankfully there is another level that I like that used the song, Fire Temple. First off, RIP Michigan. Second off, the way he used the limitations back then to imitate certain things are really innovative. Like the torches flashing red and yellow to imitate it being on fire, and the use of red glow for lava is pretty interesting. I will say that this is probably my least favorite level of the Temple series, but that just goes to show how good the Temple series was. For the worst pick, it's a cheap pick, but the official level itself I think is the worst one. It's already the worst official level in my opinion. It's the least enjoyable level, it has the worst song, the worst coins, and overall I just kind of feel nothing after beating this level. It's a level where if you remove it from the official levels, I don't think anyone would notice it. It's that forgettable. Again, a bit of a cheap pick, but the online levels were honestly not that bad and are actually quite solid. The best one for Can't Let Go is Can't Let Go Copy. This level is pretty interesting. It has some pretty unique structuring and gameplay, and the effects that it's used are pretty cool too. I also love the whole concept of this level and Laptop Archiver as a whole. Basically a big gaslighting ARG where supposedly this is the true official versions of the level. For the worst pick, I'll be honest, it's kind of a hard pick because the Hell Inferno actually looks good, and I don't want to choose old levels since they have their limits, so obviously they will look inferior. There are also some levels that I don't know how to categorize, but I don't want to pick because they're just cheap picks. Such as my pick for the worst Can't Let Go level is Robot Let Go. It's literally just Can't Let Go but robot. No effort was put into this, but again, I kinda don't like choosing it because it's such a cheap and boring pick. For the best jumper level, it's Jumper Copy by Laptop Archiver again. This one is my second favorite from the whole Laptop Archiver thing. It's jolly and goofy feeling, I love it. It also has the best color palette, and that effect where you go behind the level is just perfect. For the worst one, it's a level called Low Puhi. It's just a pretty generic and boring water level, not much to say here honestly. Oh, and also one of the parts has inverted slope, so that's a point taken off as well. Time Machine should be a fun one. It's one of the most used official level songs besides like Stereo Mattress and Clubsteps, so my picks are really variable here. It's a tough pick, but I'm choosing Time Machine by IMAX1. This level is really cool. The way it integrates its memory is really unique. I love how open the level feels, and in my opinion, it has one of the best song representations in the game. For the worst, it's a tough pick between Necromancer and the Hell Zone, but I have to go for Necromancer. While the Hell Zone is stated, Necromancer not only looks pretty dirty and ugly, it's also just a pretty bad remake of Necropolis. It doesn't really represent Necropolis all that well with the fact that it's red from start to finish, and I'd argue that this aged worse than the Hell Zone. For the best 4 cycles, it's New Horizons. This is just a really cool level. It does really represent that dreamy feeling of the cycle song really well. The effects are pretty cool, the color palette especially is nice even though it's just blue and red. For the worst, this one's actually pretty hard to pick because I think all the levels that use cycles are pretty solid. But I think I'll go with Dream City. It's not really the fact that it's a bad level, it's just really underwhelming for me. I kinda wish it's not a Necropolis remake and really emphasizing it more on the Dream City aspect. Again, not a bad level, it's just not really what I expected. The levels for Xstep are kinda barren and not interesting. In fact, it's so uninteresting that my favorite level that uses Xstep is Xstep V2. The more I think about it, the more I love Xstep as a level. It has one of the more unique gameplay from Laptop, and the song actually kinda grew on me. Xstep V2 just enhances that feeling and overall just made Xstep a lot more fun. For the worst one, I'm choosing XYZ Step Infinity. It's the most disliked level using Xstep, and I didn't have fun doing it in practice mode, so let's just leave it at that. The best level that use Clutterfunk is Cluttered Confusions. This level is really cool, and the way it integrated its memory is really awesome. I am a sucker for maze-like memory levels like this and Coolie Mazy Paloozy. Even if I can't beat it with my short attention span, it still looks pretty cool to watch. For the worst, Clutterfunk actually has some pretty solid levels. I'm choosing Clutterfunk X solely because I think it didn't age too well even for Alkali standards, but it's still an okay level in my eyes. Just like Xstep, Theory of Everything's pick is kinda uninteresting, but there is one standout being Magnificent Gaps. This level is really charming. It's nothing too complex, but that's kinda what I love about it. It feels like what an early 2.0 level could have been, and it's just really charming and adorable in a way. For the worst, Elite Theory Burst, sure, let's go with that. Generic, uninteresting, boring, lifeless. The only good thing that came out of it is the block Kermal speedrun. The best level that used Electroman adventures is Infinite Decimal Pi. Come on, it's the digit of pi as a level. What more can you want? It's peak. The worst one is hard to choose because there's literally no bad levels using this song. I'm gonna go out on the limb and choose Electromechanics. It claims to be a better Electroman adventures, and you know what? I disagree. That lands you in the worst spot. But for real though, it's just an okay level, nothing much. You know? I might just go out on a limb and say that Tartarus is the best level that used the Clubstep song. It's pretty cool with what it's trying to do, and the structuring made the level pretty claustrophobic and it's really effective. The worst one is Silentium Grados. It's just Silent Clubstep without the charm and looks so much more monochrome, not much to say here. Surprisingly, there's actually not that much to choose for Electrodynamics, but my pick goes to Mechadynamism. It's a pretty cool take on Electrodynamics, making it more modern, and I also found it really funny on how this is rated Easy Demon, but it has the same gameplay as Electrodynamics, but it's rated Easy Demon because this shift gameplay is a lot more awkward to control. Just something funny I thought I'd share with you. The worst one is it's a Roy Musti level. I don't like Roy Musti level. Let's just leave it at that, okay? Picking the best level for Hexagon Force is really easy. It's Snail Force, it's raw, it's goofy, it's about snails, it's peak. This is the best level in the game, and if you don't agree with me, then I will hunt you down. But for real though, I love this level. I love its raw feeling, and it also feels sort of experimental in a way that gives it its charm. The worst one is a level called Kofi. Not much to say there, it's just an okay modern level. The only reason I'm putting this here is because I don't think this song fits the level, that's all. Blast Processing has some pretty solid levels, with the best one being Cars Processing. I think I'm starting to fall in love with Aimbotter's decoration style. The effects are pretty cool and the design is really unique. Where are the cars though? Gotta knock off a point for lack of cars. I don't really dislike any level using Blast Processing, but I am going to choose Quantum Processing because of this one click in the UFO part. Seriously, how do you do this click? Toad 2 is really barren for the selection with only having 40 levels online, and I'll be honest, I don't really like a lot of them. In fact, I'd go so far as to say that Toad 2 itself is the best level that used the song. Yes, I'm not kidding. I think it's one of the best official levels. It's definitely the best official demon, let me tell you that. And the design, while nothing special, is pretty cool, especially for early 1.9. Even if I don't like the majority of the levels that use the song, choosing the worst one is pretty easy. It's B times 20. Roy Musti level, also this goddamn click is evil. Not much else to say there. I think you know my opinion on Roy Musti levels. The best level using the Geometrical Dominator song is Guideless Goobering. Really cool and goofy memory level. I do want to give an honorable mention to Geometric Dimension. It's Geometrical Dominator, an already banger level, but better. The worst one is Practice Dominator. A bit of a low-hanging fruit, I know. I'm just putting here to say that this level isn't really needed if you want to get better at Geometry Dash, as I think the official levels are all the learning material you need in the game. The best one for Deadlock is Supreme Lock. This was managed during his peak, and I just really miss this style. How we can make a comeback for this style, even though it's been used a lot back then, it's one of my favorites growing up. As for the worst, well, I mean, what you expect besides an Invisible Deadlock? The selection for Finger Dash is really barren. In fact, it's so barren that the best level to use Finger Dash's song is Finger Dash itself. It's not my favorite Rob Top level, but for what it is, it's pretty decent. The worst one is the level called Finger Crash, which is just Finger Dash but with a worse color scheme. Not much else to say there. On to the last one. As expected, there's not much to choose for Dash. Literally all the classic ones are Dash remakes. So for the best one, I'll choose Dash Lens. It's an enhanced version of Dash and a pretty cool one at that. The worst one is Dashing Lines. I just I just don't like these dancing line levels, mainly because I don't like the fact that they theme it around existing levels. In my opinion, they should theme it something original instead of backboning off of other levels. And so those are the best and worst levels from each official level songs. Well, that's the end of the video. Did you agree or disagree with my picks? Maybe you choose something different from the ones I have picked. Let me know in the comments below, and maybe I'll make a sequel if I ever make one. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe since I'm trying to hit 4K by the end of the year. Oh, and if you want to support me even further, you can buy a commission from me down at VGen, where you can commission a headshot, half body, full body, a banner, or a thumbnail. That's all I have for you today. I'll see you all later. Bye bye.